Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. This is Dave from Open Colleges and I'm here with a video tutorial to help you with the assessment for Review Human Resource function. With this assessment you have three options to choose from in how you will gather information to complete the written questions. The first option is to choose a workplace where you are working. The second option is to choose a business of your choice. The third option is to use Reed Headbook's case study, which is available in the open space, additional resources and the links in this assessment. For options 1 and 2, it is very important to remember you need to be able to access very specific business operational information or you won't be able to answer the questions effectively. The information you need to gather includes business strategy, human resources strategy, human resources policies and procedures, and personal information including employee records. It's very important if you're using either of the first two options that you need to give privacy and confidentiality of information a very, very important thought. Additionally, you need to think about copyright, trademark and patent infringements. If you're using your workplace or another workplace, you need permission. I would suggest that you get this in writing from the managers, and this will save you any concerns later if people are saying that you access the information without permission. So talk to your managers or talk to the people, owners or stakeholders within the business you're using and get their permission. Like I say, in writing is best, and then you safeguard yourself. If you're using the Reed Headbook's case study, all the documentation is available within the case study resources that you can find within Open Space additional resources for this unit. No matter what documentation you use, you will be answering questions based on this documentation. In particular, you will be reviewing business operational strategies and their human resource strategies, and you will need to provide solutions to the questions and the problems that are posed. So conducting some research is really important, and having an understanding of this business documentation is also very important. Make sure that you go through the information that is contained within Open Space and do some very careful reading and research. Utilize all the links that are provided, and if you have any questions, make sure that you ask the assessors and trainers or other students in the assessment forums, or you can send direct messages to your trainers as well. We've provided a great deal of information that should provide you everything that you need to conduct your research. If not, seek help and we will definitely help you out by providing additional information. Question 1. Review the business strategies and the human resource strategies and identify 3 human resources issues for review. So with the business strategies, we're talking about company policies, the procedures, operational manuals, intranets, work instructions, guidance and support materials to help the staff do their daily operations. With the human resources strategy, this is how the company employs and manages staff. So you need to give careful consideration to the employee life cycle management here. From the point of when we attract staff to make applications for business roles, right through to the moment that people leave the company and move on in their career. You need to review all of the documentation and give consideration as well to legal requirements. So think about the laws that must be followed and look for any gaps that you might find in these laws or where information is a little bit vague or non-existent. So you need to identify 3 issues for review. So list those issues and give a brief explanation of why this is an issue and why it needs resolution for the business to operate effectively within the legal requirements of the state or territory in which it's operating. Question 2 prepare a scope of review for one of the issues you identified in question 1. So this is really about project management. Again, check the resources and links that we've provided to get a little bit of an insight into the scope of review. The scope for any project is basically, in summary, an outline of what will be done, how you will conduct your research, the information you need to gain, and what outcomes you expect from conducting the research. Question 3, networking. List 4 different levels or areas that you can find business networks and human resource networks that can help you out throughout your career. The 4 levels we list are local, state, national, and international. Local refers to your town, your city, or the region in which you operate. With state level, we would be looking at networks that operate across the whole state. Now, you could consider government departments or business associations. National companies might have offices in each state. At national level, we're looking for business organisations that operate across the entire country. Good examples of this would be the Australian Human Resource Institute, AHRI. You'll refer to them commonly. They are the industry body for Australia with regard to human resource management and talent management across Australia. But there are many other departments. As an example, at the national level, Safe Work Australia provides information and guidance for work health and safety for all states and territories within Australia. And you'll have a regulator for each state and territory of Australia. At an international level, there are many organisations for businesses and also in the human resource industry that you could refer to. Again, I suggest you go back into OpenSpace and have a look at all the learning resources and links that are provided, and then gather some information that way. If you need assistance, obviously again, trainers and assessors will help you out, but you can also contact other colleagues via the forum. With the table for question 3, we have handy hints available within the additional resources tab. This will show all of the information you need to provide. With the network, give it a name. Tell us who you're dealing with. It might be a business association, it could be an industry association, it might be a small networking group. For instance, Meetup. This is a great way for people with like-minded ideas to get together and discuss and share information. Be resourceful, conduct your own research, and learn what the company or the association or the group, what are they about? What do they do? What information can you gather that will help you out? Contact details would be websites, get the URLs, phone numbers, email addresses. And the purpose is, what is this network group all about? What information can you get from them? How would they assist you as you go through your career in HR? Question 4A. Identify the systems and sources of human resource information. The table for technology and systems gives you a way that the sorts of information that you need to gather can be stored and accessed by other people. Think about the sorts of digital innovation and digital technology that you could use. We're talking about cloud-based solutions that include intranets or apps, various forms of software that you could use. Conduct some research and share information with your fellow colleagues and students so that you can fill in the table successfully. Once again, check the handy hint guide. This is very, very useful. It will explain all of the information that you need to gather to fill in the table. Employee demographics for reporting on diversity. So this is how you would break down your workforce. It's the number of employees you have, which sections or departments they might work in, breakdown of their skills and knowledge and experience, With demographics as well, we might gather cultural information, information on the sex of our employees, whether they're male, whether they're female. One great way that we can gather this information is to conduct training needs analysis. So you might want to do some research on that. But very importantly, you need to give consideration to human rights issues. Will you discriminate? You need to be very careful when you're handling this sort of data and accessing this data and who you share the data with. You don't want to be accused of discrimination or potentially harassment in sharing that kind of information. So look at the links we've provided and be familiar with these sorts of demographics and what you can and cannot use in business. Employee contracts. This relates to the contract of employment or the contract of engagement with which the person has been employed. Where would this information be stored? It's critical that this is very secure because there are issues with privacy and confidentiality. Think of the information we shouldn't share with other people, like the type of information relating to wages or benefits for staff. If you share this kind of information, it can create tension within the workplace where some staff may feel that they are being treated unfairly. So it needs to be secure. You would need to also consider listing the position descriptions and any other information relating to the staff, which might include as well police checks, licensing, registrations, qualifications, etc. Payroll and remuneration information. This needs to be kept highly confidential and private. People don't like sharing this kind of information and they generally won't talk about it. It's how much people are being paid, the way they're being paid, the type of employment like casual, part-time or full-time. It includes benefits and entitlements and any other bonus structures that staff might be on as well. Performance records. Again, this should be private and confidential. Staff might talk amongst themselves, but you definitely shouldn't share this kind of information with other staff without their permission. It's how staff are performing. Now, we still do performance reviews in a lot of business, but that idea is now being phased out. And the idea is this regular feedback and 360-degree feedback. It means we chat with our staff often, we give them feedback, and we give them support, encouragement, and guidance along the way. This is really important when you can think about the idea of mentoring and coaching staff. Training records. This is also very, very important, but this information could be shared generally with other staff. It's very important that we can access these sorts of records. A good example is for work health and safety representatives in the business. We need to know that they've had formal training. And one of the assessments in a unit that's coming up further on in this qualification, you will need to know about this in detail. But we need to think about the sorts of training that people have for all kinds of reasons. It may be required for licensing or for registration requirements. But more importantly, we need to know that staff understand the job that they're trying to perform. If you can access the training records, you might be able to see where staff are missing training or there's a training gap, and that way we can get the training required. This is really important from a quality control perspective so that we know staff are performing the job effectively and the products and services they're providing not only to their other staff within the business, but to your clients who are key to your business success because they pay the income. We need to know staff understand what they're doing so that there's a quality provision of service and products. Also, put safety as key whenever you're thinking about training. We definitely don't want staff injured on the job, and we should do all we can to ensure staff are safe. So anytime they're using plant or equipment, they need to be given instruction, guidance, and support. Think about how you'll do this and how these records will be stored. Very importantly, think about duty of care. which is everyone's responsibility. We all need to keep each other safe and look out for each other in the workplace so we all go home without injury. Accident and incident reporting. This is really important from a work health and safety perspective. We actually have to keep these records according to legislation and regulations. We have national legislation, but legislation and regulations can also change at a state and territory level. So have a look at the legislation, regulations, and codes of practice that will be relevant for you to finish this assessment. With this, you need to know the state or territory in which your business is operating, or where the case study information, where their business is based, and use the applicable laws. Terminating employees. Now, we need to keep a record of all the performance reviews and, importantly, underperformance of staff. With this, I'd suggest you go to the Fair Work Ombudsman's website and get some information. You'll find links to their fact sheets and also to templates and best practice guides on their website. We have that information available for you in open space. With terminating employees, you also need to consider the modern award in which the staff are under contract. So guidelines will tell you the types of notice that needs to be given for staff depending on how long they've been working, and that will also depend on whether they're considered a small business or a large company. So have a look at the laws and regulations. This gives you a great chance to become familiar with the types of conditions that you will be facing as a HR worker, administrator, or manager. Exit interviews. These are very, very underrated with many businesses. What you need to think about with exit interviews is that you have staff that are leaving your company. It's really important to find out why. If they're moving on in their career, great, that's fantastic. But what about the knowledge they gained working for your company? Has that been passed on to others, or do they take that knowledge with them? Exit interviews are a great way that you can check if staff have passed on the information they need to other staff, and it's a great idea to have a checklist before staff are even leaving. You don't leave this to their last day. Additionally, if you find that there's bad conditions happening in the workplace, this gives you an opportunity to look for improvements. It could be that there's managers don't know what they're talking about, maybe they're not provided support and assistance, maybe your pay is not up to scratch in comparison to the rest of the industry. It doesn't matter the reason, you should find this out, and the exit interview gives you a great opportunity. Now think about who you would share this information with. Again, think about whether it's going to cause trouble for sharing information that might be considered as unfair or judgmental to other people in the workplace. Question 4B. Outline how information technology can be used to help analyse human resource metrics. Human resource metrics is all about staff performance, and what we need to do is to work out what key KPIs or metrics are applicable to the job that each individual staff member is performing. So with the role, you would be sitting down with managers to determine how you actually can measure the quality of the staff performance. There's literally thousands of different metrics that you could gather. So you need to make sure the metrics that you're trying to analyze are relevant to the job role. It might be if someone's creating something or building something, how many can they build in an hour? How many could they build in a day? If someone is in sales, it might be how many items can they sell? How often are they making sales? What are the total value of their sales? How do their sales compare to other people? So when we have these metrics, we can conduct comparisons between individual staff and then even other departments or other businesses within the company. But the first point is knowing which metrics are vital and how do we share this information. So IT and digital innovation, think about the ideas of using client relations management systems, cloud-based solutions, and other types of apps where we can prepare reports and look at all the statistics and data metrics that we need to operate the business. Question 5. Based on the issue identified in question 2, select an appropriate research strategy and identify the benefits of using this method. So back in question 2, we were looking at issues related to business strategies and human resource strategies. What you now need to do is to develop a research strategy so you can find out more information about this issue. So again, I'd go back to the networking links that we've provided you and conduct some more detailed research. See if you could find some white papers or some research papers. Also, check the networks that you can find on Facebook and in social media. LinkedIn is highly valuable because it's considered to be an industry or professional standard of social media networking, and I would look for groups that are applicable to the issues or in the area of human resource management or business management. I also recommend highly the websites of Deloitte Bersin and Harvard Business Review. They have amazing articles that will help you out. So your strategy is how you will conduct the research. Remember, with research, you need to be able to show that it's valid and the information is correct and current. So be very careful which websites or which publications you choose. And with research and any research you do throughout your assessment, make sure you keep a good list and a good reference list that you can include in your bibliography with the assessment submission. In any research, we would need copies to the links, to the research, to the data, and any information that you're using. That way, if anyone questions the information, we can conduct a secondary research. This is good for cross-referencing and double-checking. Wherever possible, get copies of research papers, and maybe you could store that in a Google Docs account or somewhere else where it's downloadable. You don't necessarily have to submit all of these with your assessment, but if you could provide a link like to YouTube channels where they have information, or websites or publications, that's very, very handy. Question 6. Identify the internal and external key stakeholders to the issues selected in question 2. So with this, you're filling in another table, and I'll quickly define the key columns within this table. Stakeholders. So this is anyone involved in helping you gather research information. So a stakeholder could be an individual, it could be a business, it could be a consulting company, a government department, an industry association, or other kinds of networks. Provide as much detail as you can. Roles and responsibilities. This is actually how these people would help you out, or how the stakeholder has helped you gather the information. Whatever the stakeholder is, think about how they help people in the industry. Think again about using credible stakeholders that can be trusted. So make sure the information is valid and factual. The assessors will be looking to see that you have used credible sources of information. Consultation process. This is actually how you've contacted the particular stakeholder and how you gathered information. It might be that you found information on a website, but potentially you could be calling industry associations or professional businesses and consulting companies to ask for information. As a student, you'll generally find companies are willing to help, so don't hesitate to give a few people a call or send information through their contacts on their websites, and gather information from real companies and associations. We will cross-check this and double-check the information. So don't make up the name of the company, don't make up individual names. I mean, that's not helping you to learn. So you will need to do this in real life, and now's your chance. Question 7. Review and summarise 4 of the following policies and procedures and identify where they are stored, as well as any legislation, regulations and standards that apply to them. With the table for question 7, we have handy hints available within the Additional Resources tab. This will show all of the information you need to provide. Question 8. Based on the issue identified in question 2, list the key strengths and weaknesses of the related policies and procedures. So it's going back to your earlier research you conducted. So strengths, what is good, why is it effective, what are the benefits? Weaknesses, this is risk to the company. If these policies and procedures aren't effective, what are the end outcomes? Think about this from a legal perspective, from the safety perspective, and also from the quality of the staff that you have working for you. Question 9, thinking beyond green initiatives, list 2 key sustainability issues that relate to the human resources functions and identify how the organisation is incorporating this into their business activities. So quite often when we talk about business sustainability, people think straight to the green initiatives that are good for the planet. That's one aspect. The best way you can look at this is through a PESEL analysis. Political, economic, social, technical, legal, and environmental. You need to think of all these types of issues when you're dealing with business sustainability, because they all can have an impact on the business. There are links provided in the resources and your learning guides, so check this out, and also check the class forums and the open space forums. Sustainability issue. So list what the issue is that you found out in your research. Link to human resources. So how does this affect staffing and the way that people operate in the business? You need to think again about risks and benefits. Organisation incorporation. This is about managing the issue. So how do you ensure that this issue isn't such a risk that it is detrimental to the business operation, or even could mean that the business fails? Think very carefully about how a very small issue can be blown out on social media, for instance. Issues go viral very quickly. So if you're not doing the right thing in business, that could have a huge impact on your professional reputation. Think also about legal requirements. You don't want to be seen to be breaking the law, because then you're not seen as a credible business and you can lose clients rapidly. So business sustainability is about making sure that your business is operational and profitable for the long term. Question 10. Based on the issue in question 2, review the ethical requirements of the organisation, the human resources team, and the appropriate behaviours to address them. Ethical requirements. So go back to the issues raised in question 2 and think about the ethical implications. We've discussed some of these already, like for instance not following the law or doing something wrong on social media that makes your company look unprofessional. So what is this issue and how could it be damaging? Think about the ethical issues with regard to how you employ staff. Think about issues like racism and sexism, ageism even. We have lots of information in open space, so do some reading and also refer to your textbooks and other links that have been made available. Associated behaviours of employees. This is how you will get the employees to work and act so that we address these issues, so the issues don't become a problem and affect our business sustainability or reputation. What would you put in place? What sort of policies and procedures? What sorts of work instructions and training would you provide? This is your chance to be innovative and show that you have an understanding of how to control these issues in the workplace. Question 11. Identify the legal, ethical and compliance requirements for human resource practitioners. With a practitioner, it's anyone working in HR or managing staff and employees. We'll give a quick breakdown of the table now as well. Type of requirement, legal. So this is making sure you comply with the laws and the regulations that are applicable within your business. Look at the acts, have a look at how they affect business operations and what laws do you definitely need to comply with. Type of requirement, ethical. We were talking about business ethics a little while ago. Think about diversity, for instance, and sexism and harassment. How would you avoid these issues in your workplace? What impact do they have on staff and business reputation? Type of requirement, compliance. So compliance could be related to the law, but quite often we have codes of practice that we need to comply with as well. For instance, we might be looking at WHS facilities management. Compliance can also be that we need to conform to quality control systems in the workplace. So with compliance, don't only think external, think internal and the rules that apply to your business. This could be as simple as a contract of employment or following work instructions. Details of requirements. So this is how you maintain compliance with the legal, ethical and compliance requirements. Just give some brief details. Impact on human resources personnel. Think about the impact on how you will carry out your job role as a HR practitioner. Think about how you maintain compliance, and also it's very important from a risk management perspective to think about what are the implications if you don't maintain compliance. Is your job on the line? Will it damage the reputation of the company? Or could you be found to be in breach of legal requirement and taken to court? Be careful. Question 12. Outline the key roles and responsibilities of the following human resources roles. So with this, we're going to give a basic role summary. So what's involved in this position? What sort of duties would you have? What sort of jobs would you perform every day? With the responsibilities, we're thinking about what are your key priorities that you need to achieve. There might be KPIs or compliance issues you need to worry about. We have some information for each of these three roles, and they do vary. A HR administrator is generally someone starting off in the HR industry, and they would be doing a lot of paperwork and admin work. It's a lot more detailed than you would expect, and it's one of the lower level roles. A HR generalist is someone who would be involved with more high level HR duties, generally recruitment and selection of staff, but they would have involvement with the managers and the departments in the company to work out what requirements are needed in staffing and employment. A HR director is a senior executive role, and they have responsibility for development of policies and procedures within the company. Again, we won't go into too much detail, we don't want to give you the answers, but you will find this information in the learning resources and the text materials. Once again, don't forget, feel free to ask questions of your trainers and assessors, go to the forums and post questions and seek information there, take advantage of all the learning resources, and most of all, have a good time doing this. We're available via direct message, and if you're having trouble accessing any information, make sure you call the student support team. No matter what, enjoy your learning, and we're here for you. Good luck and best wishes.